Welcome back to All That Jam. I am Kevin. I'm joined by Lily and Jake from MoonShroom today, who
What's
play
up?
the Grassadelic Twang music. How you guys doing?
We're doing great. How about you?
I'm fantastic, fantastic. Beautiful day. Fish started tour. I uh I have another YouTube channel and we do all fish stuff. So it's our busy time of the year over there. So let's do an origin story. You guys started in 22 in Lawrence, Kansas City, Kansas, I guess. How did it happen? How'd you guys meet?
So it's kind of a long story, but we'll try to give you the condensed version. 6 years ago, Lily and I met at a jam in Kansas City called Rural Grit, which is kind of like uh, it's a pillar in the Kansas City music scene. It's a jam that's been going on for I think 25 years at this point. And we met at the jam, and one thing led to another, and Lily asked me to record on her album. So at that
Okay.
time, I was in another touring project. Lily was doing her own thing. We were kind of doing separate things, and we started playing together and collaborating. And after a few years of doing that, we decided to create Moonshroom to kind of represent both of our artistic visions and songs. And that's been Moonshroom's been going on since 2022.
Okay.
Uh, but we both were doing different things before that. But Moonshroom was kind of like, hey, let's put all of our eggs in one basket and collaborate on one project, and it's blossomed into something very beautiful.
Right. And what do you guys play?
I play dobro and guitar, and Lily plays guitar.
Okay, very good.
And
Tight
and we both,
harmony.
yeah, we both sing and sing harmony and write
Yeah.
our own songs.
Right. I like the vocals. I like the tight harmonies. You don't one thing about jam bands is sometimes that's lacking. Let's just put it
Yeah.
that way. All right, so you have I told you we were going to do this another way, but we're going to do this. You have a couple singles out already. You guys have gotten the studio. Another one coming out tomorrow. Friday's the album. Why don't we go with what are the name of the two that are already out?
So we've got Party on the Moon, which was the first single. It also came with a music video. And then we've got Somewhere on a Mountain, which was the second, and it also came with a lyric video.
Okay. And then tomorrow is
And tomorrow is Waves of Love.
all right, very nice, very nice. So how does it work? Do one of you just come up with a fragment of a lyric, a little riff or something, and you sit down and cook it up together? Or is it more, hey, I have this completely fleshed out idea. What can we do together to make it better?
Yeah, it's always kind of different. It's a little bit of both of those things. Sometimes one of us will write a whole song, even, and then come to the band with it. And then sometimes we come up with a concept together and then write the whole song together.
Very
Yeah,
nice, very
yeah.
nice.
It's kind of yeah. Parts of the album. It's one of us wrote a song, and we kind of go that direction with it. And then some of them, were more collaborative, where it's like, oh, Lily has the concept for a song, and I thought of a chorus, and then we work together to like write, the verses. And then, we have two other steady bandmates, Colby Alan Walter, who's on electric guitar and mandolin, and Zach Bozeman, who plays bass. Then we have several awesome guesting musicians on the album, including our friend Stosh, who came in and, he played fiddle, piano, Wurlitzer, and Fender Rhodes. We have our friend Mark Hamblin, who played trumpet on a track, and our friend Nate Deal, who drummed on everything. And he'll be playing the album release show with us. So.
All right, very nice. Now, is where did you record?
We recorded in Kansas City at a spot called Element Recording Studio.
Okay.
With Joel Nanos, and it's kind of the studio in town that has like the most analog gear.
There you go.
That's kind of how they that's kind of how they brand themselves. Is like they have a lot like all the modern gear you could think of, but they also specialize in having a lot of really cool analog preamps and stuff like that. So we were kind of able to get the best of both worlds. And,
I feel like your music would would benefit from having the analog thing because of the, you know, the instrumentation you have and the vocals and all that. There's a warmth to analog. I feel
Yeah.
like digital just you don't get.
Very much, yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
we really were able to hunker down in the studio too. We booked the studio for 5 consecutive days,
Okay.
and due to our tour schedule, we were able to knock out 4 of those, you know, during the week. Go play a couple shows over the weekend, come back, and do the last one, and then, you know, we ended up having to add on a couple extra days just to get all the tracking right. You know, we wanted to really be patient with this recording and give ourselves the time to get everything just right. And then we also, we tracked a total of 8 days, and we did that live.
Okay.
And then we also took our sweet time on the mixing process. We were very involved in that, and we're in the studio for another 5 days mixing the record.
Wow.
So yeah, we knocked it all out, and you know, I think the way the scheduling worked out, it ended up taking us like, we did it between a couple different months. Like I think we started at the beginning of November, and by the end of December it was all totally mixed.
There you go. No, a lot of overdubs. Did you use the studio as an extra member, so to speak?
Yeah, for certain stuff
The basis of each song was live, and then we did like harmony overdubs and did like some chimes, and then had our extra bandmates come in, and he did like fiddle and Fender Rhodes and all that on top of the live stuff.
There you go. You do the bluegrass folk country. You also do the psych jam thing. How do you balance those two of things that, I mean, obviously the Grateful Dead were cowboy kind of psychedelic, but how do you balance the two of those things? Because I feel like you really are steeped in the traditions, but you're allowing it to be opened up when you're playing live.
Yeah, I think we just don't really box ourselves into one thing, because that just doesn't really serve the art, you know?
Yeah, it kind of happened naturally,
Yeah.
very organically, because, you know, yeah, we definitely, you know, both came from worlds where, you know, there's purists in any genre you can really step into, you know, like, and, you know, we both grew up, you know, mostly exposed to like classic rock and psychedelic rock and country music, you know, and like that was like part of the thing when me and Lily met. She was doing more of like the alt country Americana thing, and I was in more of the jam band world. And then we kind of melded that together to where it's kind of funny how it's like our upbringing was more steeped in like that classic rock, psychedelic rock side. And then we like took the deep dive into the bluegrass world, you know, performed several traditional bluegrass festivals, you know, really studied and learned that music. And, you know, when we were forming Moonshroom, we were like, hey, like, why do we have to try to be one thing? Like, why do we have to label ourselves as this or that? And that was kind of, you know, it was awesome that the album came out the way it did, because when we were coming up with the track list, it was like, hey, like, instead of saying, oh, we're going to make a straight up Americana album or a straight up bluegrass album or a straight up jam rock album, we're just like, what does the album call for?
Yeah.
You know, like, what, okay, we have this list of songs we know that we want to be on it. What else do we feel would like benefit the overall journey of the album for the listener?
Because it really does take you on a trip from the beginning to end.
Right. A lot of Party on the Moon. There's a lot of cosmic imagery there. Is that something that's integral to the idea of Grassadelic Twang?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really with with any of it, you know, kind of the basis that we're going for was like free artistic expression.
Yeah.
Free creative expression, to where, you know, sometimes if you like focus too hard on trying to be one thing, you know, it's not necessarily as genuine. Like, say if we were recording an album being like like for instance, oh, you know, some of this is more bluegrassy and country, but some of this will probably scare away some of the bluegrassy country purists, you know, which
Right.
isn't to say we don't appreciate that facet of the music or appreciate that facet of like our fan base. But really with this album, we were trying to, you know, instead of trying to make something that we thought would resonate with other people, we were like, hey, this is what we feel like doing.
Yeah.
You know, we just want to make something that we think is cool. And if other people think it's cool, then awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and
I
maybe
get you.
yeah, you
I
know,
get
maybe some parts of the album some people might love. You know,
Mhm.
maybe other parts of the album they'll be like, oh, this isn't necessarily my cup of tea, but the first half of the album was, or you know, maybe vice versa, or for all we know, people might just allow themselves to zone out, and before they know it, they'll be like, oh, I'm primarily a bluegrass fan, but now I'm like headbanging to this like rock and jam track, you know.
Yeah, I hear you. So how many you have? How many tunes? 8. You said we're going to be on the album.
10.
10. Okay, so you have 10 songs on the album. How much bigger is your pool of songs? Other stuff that you play live, or that you could have picked from?
Oh, we probably have like another 30 original songs that we haven't recorded because that's like kind of the interesting thing we've done. We've kind of taken the formula for what you're supposed to do and done it backwards a little bit because we both had previous experiences touring and releasing music with other projects, so we kind of already had this network between like what Lily and I had done, where it was like, oh, we already have these festival contacts, we already have these venue contacts that, you know, are interested in bringing us to their events or what have you. So we toured extremely heavily for like the first 2 years with like no music out really. You know, we toured and probably played in 15 different states until we were finally in Nashville and we're like, okay, we need to record a track. We had a friend that like had an in at a studio where he's like, oh yeah, you guys can, you know, I can get you a good rate at like for like like a 4-hour session, and we
Right.
went in and just banged it out live, you know, like, and got a single out, and then we released another single. This was previous to the album that we recorded at our friend Bo's home studio. And you know, so like we really toured a lot before releasing music, and you know, and that's what's almost so exciting about this is we feel it's been like a long time building to like
Right.
releasing this body of work, you know. And
And you've obviously taken care with it. Like you care about the listener and everything else. And I guess it's respect for the music too, I guess, huh?
Totally, yeah. I feel like the utmost respect goes to the music because that's what it's all about.
Right.
yeah,
Right.
and really that's what we want to allow ourselves, since you know we've put off recording for so long, and you know we each have our individual experiences recording, but you know, at least from what I had done in my previous projects was, okay, let's record it as quickly as possible and as cheaply as possible. You know, the engineer, the producer would say, okay, like how do you guys want to go about mixing this? And we'd be like, just do it as quickly and cheaply as possible. You know, we'd rapid fire some notes back and forth to each other just to get it done. And with this one, we were like, hey, this is going to be out there forever. You know, let's do these songs justice and get it, you know, get it as close as to what we envisioned, you know, before setting it free.
Yeah.
And
Right. I like that. I like that. I always refer to albums and studio recordings as the artifact, and then on stage it's where it's the living, breathing thing. You know.
Nice.
absolutely,
So,
I love that. That's great.
so you got 40 songs about or so of originals, and you do some covers too.
Yeah, we do select covers. You know, we don't really we play primarily original music,
Yeah.
Right.
but we do mix in some covers in there. You know,
Right.
like
Well, where I'm going with is set lists construction. How do you pick what you're building for a set list when you have? I mean, 40 is a pretty good number. You can't play all 40 songs every night, obviously. You know.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, we try to mix it up a little bit, or like keep in mind, like, oh, for instance, last time we played Lincoln, Nebraska, you know, we did these songs. Let's try to give them some new songs, or you know, like let's say we've worked up some new tunes that you know maybe no one's heard before. And we're like, hey, it's time to test these out, you know, and it's really cool to kind of have the songs grow that way, because like you know maybe between the first time playing it and like the 20th time playing it, you know, you've worked around with the formula a little bit and found some parts that stick, found some parts where you're a little bit more free to explore, and it's kind of an organic way for the songs to grow. And you know, then by the time we hit the studio, it's like, okay, like we've really tested these out, you know, we've tested the waters and we've played around with it. And then, you know, I'd say for a lot of our songs, that's kind of how it works out. We let them grow organically and we don't rush it. There's a couple songs on the album that were like relatively new, where it was like we pretty much like, you know, arranged the parts, and we're like, okay, like this one we like the fans haven't really heard live that much, so it's cool to have a couple of those on the album where you know there's a lot of familiar songs that are like our core fan base has probably heard us play several times, you know, but there will also be a couple new tracks on there that will be like a little bit of a surprise.
There you go. What's your when you play a club show? Obviously, you're playing longer. When you're doing a festival set, what are a couple songs that you would say have to be on there because you're at a festival and you want everybody to see you?
Definitely "Party on the Moon." A lot of times that's like our closing song.
Okay. That's a solid choice. It's a good choice to close the set with.
There's a big climax at the end, and it's just a good closer. So a lot of times we close with that, but other times we close with something a little bit like softer and like uniting everyone, like a song like one of our songs called "Born to Shine." And
yeah, it's kind of funny because when we first were like mulling around the idea of having like a slower song to close it out on occasion, I was like, oh, I don't know about that. Like, I feel like that might, you know, leave us and the audience hanging a little bit.
But usually before the softer, slower song at the end that like really unites everyone, we'll do like a bigger like climax before that.
Yeah.
Like say, "Do the Damn Thing."
And really,
or "The Bronco," which is one that isn't on the album, but we have been playing that at a lot of festivals.
Yeah, and really we like to feel it out night by night.
Yeah.
Like, you know, sometimes there's an audible on the set list.
Yeah,
where,
a lot of times.
Where it's like, oh, we were going to close on this song, but like either due to like time constraints or like overall vibe of like the festival.
Right, feeling the audience, definitely.
Exactly, yeah, make it. Because really, that's something that we really like is like the mutual symbiosis between the audience and the band, you know, and like we've been on either side of it, depending on if, you know, we're seeing our musical heroes play or, you know, or if we're the ones on stage to where like it's like a lot of give and take. And, you know, the nights when the crowd is going and like feeding you a lot of like good energy, you know, you're able to like kind of like take that in and then like put it back out there, you know, to like it's like an infinity figure eight loop, you know.
Right, exactly. So when you play live, you know, you get the crowds there, they're into what you're doing. You put out an album online, you put out singles. I read somewhere that this was last year in like November, that there are as many albums released per day now as there were in the whole year 1989.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how do you cut through? How do you cut through that?
Hey, that's a good question. I think we're still trying to figure that one out.
I feel like we just gotta keep being ourselves and attracting our people, you know.
So this is the way I've heard it put is you know, the music model got flipped on its head by everything turning to digital and streaming, especially streaming. And the way I've heard it put best is that, you know, like back in the day, like it was like the record label, like if you could get on a record label, a good record label, they had the teams and they had the machine there to like get your music out to the people. Like if you scored a record deal, like, and like the way it used to work is that, the music would find you because like, you couldn't help but hear it on the radio because the record labels were in with the radio promoters.
Paid somebody at the radio to play.
Yeah, and everyone listened to the radio, so the music would find you. You were kind of fed the music. And the way that it works now more is that, a music listener is essentially a person in a tiny rowboat in an ocean of music. And they have to go out and explore the far depths and the far reaches of this gigantic musical ocean. And they have to discover the new music and they have to find the new music. And, I guess you can pray to the algorithm gods that your music gets shown to the right people. But I think
get yourself on a TikTok video.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, we can get into TikTok.
Your whole life's work's reduced to a 10-second snippet that somebody's dancing.
Oh yeah, hey, we're coming up with a TikTok dance. Don't worry. But that is one thing that I feel fortunate to be in the jam community and the jam scene is that at least you're not just out there sending music out into the ether, being like, please somebody find this message in a bottle. Luckily, the jam scene is so tight knit, and the bluegrass scene too, in the same way, is so tight knit that between like the festivals and the community, like there's still that aspect of like it spreading by word of mouth, or I know that we are very fortunate. Shout out to our amazing friends and fans out there. We have a lot of close friends around the region that we met through playing shows, and like I know for a fact that in their respective cities, they're working hard for us, like trying to hype us up to their other friends, like in the jam scene. They're trying to help us get out there, and then likewise, shout out to the festivals and the promoters. It's not easy throwing a music festival in this day and age, but that's another way people find out about us is like, oh, I saw you guys on 3 different lineups. I decided to look you up.
Right, exactly. I watched all of Mountain Jam over the weekend. It was free on volume.com. And just I was amazed. Some of these bands like Michaela Davis, I've heard of her. I know she sat in with TC and things like that, but hearing her own band do her whole set and being able to watch it is fantastic. And I was thinking it's such a cool spot to have a Sunday morning opening. I know you don't get all those people, but you do have the people wandering by that are going to turn their head, and that's who you're looking for, I guess, with that.
Something special. Yeah,
definitely. It's fantastic. What's your take on AI? It's taken over.
Oh man. Okay, so I view that AI can be a great tool for certain industries. For instance, it sounds like AI is great in the medical industry. It sounds like AI does have its place, but then when it comes to whatever AI music is
or art,
it is not. I'm not about the AI music. People have sent me some AI music, and although I find it entertaining in a certain regard, because I'm like, oh, we're listening to a computer try to sing like a country star. Like ultimately, I'm like sitting here being like, oh, there's no emoting. There's no emotion, and I mean, it's wacky. Like it's a crazy time to be alive,
my nightmare scenario is that all of a sudden everything you hear in commercials, incidental music, and movies, and it's already happening, is all going to be AI generated. You're no longer going to have that space as a musician to maybe make a living, writing incidental music and things like that. And then my worst fear is that these songs that are created by these artificial intelligence things are going to then be done by humans they're going to recreate the AI on stage. And
That
that's,
would be weird.
I think that's already happening in mainstream Nashville music, probably. Like, like I bet that is like, I mean, everyone uses AI as a tool, it seems, in various industries. I would not be surprised at all, even though it's not the final product. You have somebody sitting in some office that's like, oh, instead of paying a songwriter to come up with this, how about I just feed some prompts to AI and have AI
I need a
write the
song
song
like
about
Hank
the pickup
Williams.
truck.
Right. I need a song like
Yeah.
Hank Williams if he was Prince.
Yeah.
All right, we can do that for you.
I guess this is my weird view on AI, is although it does concern me in certain regards, I almost think that the fact that the world's getting flooded by AI so much makes what we're doing more genuine.
Yeah.
Because it has that human that human feel. It has like that personal touch that a robot or computer doesn't know how to emulate.
I think people will always seek out real music. And also, I think if you're an artist like we are, and if you have money to pay another artist, you should be paying them to make art for you and not just doing it on a computer. Because when we started out as a band, we didn't have money, so we were making like AI posters. And then we were like, we just really need to pay someone because this is just not good.
Yeah, because that is a huge thing that we like, is like, it was, right when the fad came out, and Lily got some app that made some crazy stuff, and it was like, oh, shoot, we did need a poster for this show, but that only lasted a couple times before we were kind of like, tried it, not for us. And really a huge part of what we like to do is support other artists. Like, we have several artist friends that we collaborate on the regular with, where we're able to pay them for them to make something cool, and then their cool thing helps us get the word out. We have several friends we like to collaborate with. We might as well give them a shout out. Our album artwork, first off, is designed by Funksthetics out of Tulsa.
Okay.
And Daryl does a great job. Her husband Colby is also involved, and they handled all the artwork. They did a whole album package for us with that beautiful artwork. We got our vinyl pressed through them as well, through their connections, and they formatted all that. Our friend Peyton has been doing a concert poster series for us called Seasons of the Shroom, where she makes like these beautiful mushroom ladies. Like, they're like, I can email you them so you can kind of have an idea what I'm talking about, or you can look on our socials. But we've had one for every season this year. The first one, there's snowflakes, and like, it's winter themed, and the second one, there's flowers, and it's flower themed, and this one is
I'm envisioning like Alphonse Musha or something kind of thing. He did a whole series, spring, winter, summer, and fall, and it was just the beautiful woman there, and kind of thing.
And we have artist friends like that. Our friend Kevin Lang up in Nebraska has designed posters for us, and he's also a very gifted tie-dye artist. Lily's wearing one of his tie-dyes right now.
Oh, and nice work.
He made tie-dyes that like we printed our logo on. So like, we had like this limited edition MoonShroom tie-dyes made by Kevin Lang.
Really pro quality tie-dye.
Oh, pro. Yeah, he does the reverse dyes, and they're great. They really move quick whenever we've had them made. We've had 2 batches made so far. Then on tour, we're selling tie-dyes, we're selling posters by our friends, we're selling bolo ties made by our friend Tara, that she forages mushrooms and puts them in the bolo ties. We're selling these little crocheted mushroom pouches that we have on our guitars, made by our friend Crochet Clark. And we met him. He was just crocheting mushrooms during our show and flipping them up to us on stage. And eventually we're like, hey, man, I think we could sell these at our merchandise booth, So we really like the uplifting of like the arts community, where we kind of like.
If I can't get to a show, though, what am I doing? Where am I going to get a copy of this LP? Is it Bandcamp, through your website?
Yeah, it's on our website. I admittedly need to make a Bandcamp because I know they have the the
Yeah, you
Bandcamp
can upload all
Friday.
your shows, right? Yeah, everything
Yeah.
can be a release on Bandcamp.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, but our website, moonshroomsband.com. You know, Moonshroom
Right.
Band finds us all over the place. Our website's, like I said, moonshroomsband.com.
And you can get vinyl, CDs, all the merch items from our release, like the t-shirt, hat, koozie, poster.
Nice.
That's all on the website.
All right, we'll make sure to put a link down there. Now, if I am making it to a show, or I can make it to a show, where am I going over the next month, 2 months to see you guys?
Okay, yeah, let me list this off the top of my head as best as I can. We just actually got back from a West Coast tour. We just did several dates where we went out and played Denver, we played Salt Lake City and Boise, and then we went up and played in Oregon. We played like Portland, Eugene, Ashland, and then in Bend. So we just wrapped up the West Coast part of the tour. Now we're back home for a bit to do some album release work. We're on this Friday, June 27th, we're doing our album release show in Lawrence, Kansas at the Granada Theater. That's going to be a really fun time. It's a free show. It's part of a bigger festival, Colorado River Roots Festival. So we're going to get on there with a lot of our friends, and it's going to be a great time. And then
we're going back to Colorado.
But before Colorado, we're playing a festival called Pickin' on the Picnic in St. Clair, Missouri. That's kind of around the St. Louis area, but it's about an hour and a half outside in the Ozarks. It's a beautiful festival. It's been going on for 10 years. Del McCurry Band's headlining, but they also have some jammier acts there as well. You know, they straddle that world between traditional and jam grass pretty well. And we're on that with a lot of our friends, which will be great. And then, we're going back out to Colorado on July 19th, I believe. We're doing a String Cheese Incident after party in Denver. They're playing at the Ogden Theater, and then we're playing at the Velvet Banjo, which it's the old Sancho's, I believe. That used to be a dead
Banjo.
Yeah, it used to be a dead bar in Denver, and now the Velvet Banjo reopened at that location, and they're kind of trying to establish themselves as like the jamgrass hub of Denver. So we're doing the String Cheese after party at the Velvet Banjo. I believe that's July 19th. And then, or it might be July 18th. I need to look at my calendar. It's whatever night the String Cheese show is. And then we're going out to the Salt Lake City area, and we're playing Snow Basin Resort.
Okay.
Yeah, Snow Basin Ski Resort. They do a Blues and Brews concert series, and they're trying out a Blues and Bluegrass Brews and Bluegrass series, and they're having us out there. You know, so we're doing that, and then we're coming back through Colorado, and we're playing another couple shows there. We're going to be doing an Evergreen area show, and we're going to be doing playing the 10 Mile Music Hall in Frisco, Colorado. So we're doing some Summit County in the mountains and doing some Front Range stuff. And then once we start getting further along, because that takes us through July, and then in August, we're playing a festival in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, the first weekend of August, called Terp Float Festival, which is pretty crazy. This is right around the Tulsa area. It's in Tahlequah, though, outside of Tulsa, and it's right on a river resort. So it's a float trip, music festival, cannabis convention, essentially cannabis industry convention. So it's a kind of a melding of the worlds. It's a big old dab of music, floating, and cannabis industry stuff, which is cool. Yeah, I'm all here for it. I've played the Jack Daniels or the Bud Light stage too many times in my life, to where it's cool to be playing a stage where you're like, oh, I'm playing the Apothecary Extract stage. Instead it's kind of a different world. Things move a little bit slower. People are less drunk slightly. But it's a super fun event. It's been going on. I think this is its 5th year. And our friend Brent and Josh throw that one along with their families. And and it's a really cool event. You know, it kind of melds worlds where they have the country music because it's around Tulsa. They got a lot of good country music. They have weird jamgrass acts like us, and they also have like EDM music and Jamtronica music. So it's kind of
Electric Forest, was what String Cheese started Electric Forest basically, and now it's all EDM up that way.
Yeah. I went to Electric Forest once in 2012, I think.
Right. They apparently String Cheese did a really crazy second set last night and did like hits from the bong and a bunch of weed tunes in it. So I need to dig that up.
Nice.
Sounds fun. All right. Well, is there anything that you guys want to throw out before we wrap up?
Yeah, I would say that we want to throw out that, of course, the album's coming out Friday.
Mm-hmm.
We got a ton of tour dates lined up.
Limited edition vinyl.
We got, we got
the vinyl's on the website. We're going to send people to the website.
Yeah, the vinyl's on the website. We got a lot of cool festivals. In August, we're also going to be making our way down to Jasper, Arkansas for a festival down there. It's called the End of Times Funky Fall Retreat. We'll be doing a festival in Nebraska, Power and Progress Festival. Okay. That's right around the Omaha area. We're going to be going back out to Colorado again. We're going to be playing Steamboat at Schmigady's. We're going to be.
You guys are being road warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's all we know. We just put 5,000 miles on the van going out to Oregon and Northern California and back. And yeah, we can't wait to get back out there. It's nice to be home for a little bit, but we like being on the road. We like playing shows and connecting with new friends and fans.
And we like being in the studio too. So
yeah, we're addicted to the studio now. We're already working on plans.
For the next
it's exciting. Now the new single is called what? That's coming out tomorrow?
Waves of Love.
Waves of Love. All right.
Yeah, it's kind of like surf rocky jammy. And I think if I was going to put anything else out there, it just really to, prop our fan base and our friends up and our support system because, this year especially, they've been really showing up to shows, which really makes our lives easier, What would it be?
Buy your tickets ahead of time, everyone. Buy your tickets ahead of time.
Yeah. Oh, yes. The pre-sale help out immensely. It makes the venues feel better. It makes us feel better. It makes.
Well, I see. A guy I love, DJ Williams, guitar player out of Colorado. He had to cancel his New York show because they didn't sell enough tickets beforehand. And a week out, the venue was like, "Nah, we're not going to do it."
Gosh, that's the worst.
Yeah. So, are you based in New York?
No, I'm in Baltimore, outside of Baltimore.
Very cool. Yeah. Hey, we're working to come out east. That is a goal for the rest of the year.
Do you know Tim Walther?
No.
You should reach out to a guy named Tim Walther, All Good. He's the one who did the All Good Now Festival at Merriweather Post, but he does so much of the booking around here. He might be someone you can get your foot in the door with.
All right. I would love to. I will send Tim Walter an email. I'd love to do that because I've been out to the East Coast a couple times and it's beautiful out there. And everything's way closer together than going out west,
You can drive. You can do a tour over 4 days and do DC or Baltimore, Philly, New York, and Boston, and probably drive less than you would going to Salt Lake City from where you are.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna work to make that happen.
Lots of festivals too in the summer. A lot of smaller festivals around here. So yeah, that would be great. I would love to see it. I love what you guys are doing. I'm excited for the song tomorrow. What are we going to find it on Spotify? That kind of thing? Is there going to be?
Yeah. It's on all streaming platforms.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice to meet you.
It was great to meet you, and we should definitely link up. After this interview, and we will make our way out to you because we like to travel and. I know that region's beautiful and has a great scene. So hopefully we can meet in person and hang out and hang out at a show sometime.
Hang on for a minute once I stop it so I can make sure that the recording gets uploaded so we have it. Everybody watching, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, if you're watching this later, leave a comment down below. And remember, stay beautiful, but don't stay underground too long. We'll see you soon.